As you know, yesterday afternoon, approximately around 2:30, the Sheriff's Department received a call for a welfare check here at the Benoit residence. That call came from Mr. Benoit's employers. Apparently he had missed some engagements earlier this weekend out of state. They became concerned for his health and well-being. The deputies arrived on scene. Once searching the house, they were able to locate 3 bodies inside of the home here. Those bodies were Mr. Benoit himself, his wife Nancy, and their son Daniel. All 3 subjects were deceased. From an investigation that has taken place at that time yesterday afternoon and continued at the crime lab earlier today, where autopsies were performed on all 3 subjects, we have now looked at this case and ruling it as a double homicide suicide. The evidence in the home leads us to believe that Mr. Benoit had sometime, possibly Friday, had murdered his wife by asphyxiation. Sometime shortly after that, on this early part of the weekend, the same for his son Daniel, and then maybe later on Saturday evening, sometime early Sunday, had committed suicide by hanging himself in the basement area. That is how we are ruling this case this time. We are still waiting further results from the crime lab, which will include toxicology reports. That can take up to several weeks to get all of that information back. But right now, the doctors from the crime labs have given us those rulings. That's where we are at this time. No, ma'am. There was no type of suicide note or anything within the house that we had located.
Was she strangled? Was the son? We heard that she was strangled. The son was smothered. Is that true?
Asphyxiation by death on both the son and the wife.
But was the son smothered like with a pillow or something like that, or?
I'm just going to, this time I'm going to leave it as asphyxiation for him.
Was the son in the bed?
He was located in the bedroom, yes, ma'am.
Was he in bed?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Has Benoit ever been arrested before? Here, in Bay County?
Yes, sir.
What were the circumstances?
One charge I know of, I believe, was DUI, but that was by another jurisdiction here within the county, so I can't answer to the charge.
Any problem concerning domestic violence with his wife?
To my current knowledge, here at this residence, not that I have knowledge of at this time.
Do you know if him ever filed for divorce?
From Nancy, no, sir, I don't know of that, no. That information has not been given to me at this time.
No desire
Any
for
illegal substances, any steroids, any drugs that are of concern, anything, any illegal substances?
There were a lot of prescription medications that he had received from doctors with, we believe, at this time, legal prescriptions.
No signs of steroids, though.
That I'll have to get a full list and maybe be able to disclose later. Right now, I'm not going to be able to give you that full list.
Were some of them anabolic steroids?
Yes, sir, they were.
Is there any indication of a...
We're not going to go into that at this time.
Are these results based on what the autopsy showed and the evidence found?
Based on what the autopsy showed and the evidence we recovered in the house, yes, sir.
You also mentioned text messages and possible phone messages left prior to this death. Can you elaborate on the text messages and phone messages?
Only that he had text messaged a co-worker, and that co-worker received that message several hours after he originally texted. I will not go into the contents of that.
You mentioned the anabolic steroids.
Yes, sir.
Any information that might play a role in what happened?
Not necessarily directly related to the cause of death. Cause of death was asphyxiation on all 3.
Yeah, I mean, if they're contributed to the state of mind.
I'm not able to answer what the state of mind was at that time.
How long has it been? How much time elapsed?
According to the doctors this time, several hours, no more than a day.
Will the toxicology reports be released that would indicate what drugs were in his system?
As I stated earlier, ma'am, that could take a week to several weeks for us to get them back. It just depends on the crime lab speed that they're able to process those for us.
What was
place body found. She was inside the house in an office area.
So was it full day between the fact that killed his wife and then a full day in what?
Close to a day. Yes,
Is there any evidence that she refused it or fought him?
No, ma'am.
Well, what time did he kill her?
I don't know the exact. Right now, the doctor from the crime lab is stating that her death occurred sometime Friday. Yes, sometime Saturday.
While you can't say what was in the text message, can you characterize it? Was it just sort of a cry for help, or was it somewhat disturbing to the person?
I'm not going to elaborate on this. I would like to turn it over to our district attorney, Scott Ballard, if you have any questions or comments for him. Hope pretty much said it all. I will take whatever questions I feel comfortable answering.
You alluded to some bizarre circumstances. Could you go into that?
Sure. In a community like this, it's bizarre just to have a murder-suicide. It certainly involves the death of a 7-year-old child. I think that's what I'm struck by most through all of this, is that there's a 7-year-old little boy who's dead. And I don't think we'll ever be able to wrap our minds around that completely. I had mentioned that some of the circumstances with regard to the death I thought were bizarre. By that, what I meant was the timing primarily, and while we don't have that nailed down completely, it would appear that some period of time elapsed between the death of the two victims of suicide, and it struck me